Now, let's quickly talk about Swampy Joe here. Now, our old mate Swampy Joe, the one, of course, who defies gravity by falling up the stairs, President Joseph R. Biden. Now, remember, Donald Trump used to be criticised a lot for playing golf on the weekends and not being in the White House. This was an example of him not being serious about his job. If only somebody would do better. Please welcome Joseph R. Biden, who, guess what, has spent more time off since Donald Trump over the same period of time of about 2 years of being president. Now, of course, all of this is because they take him back for, I don't know, deep freezing or whatever they do, or replace him with another living corpse out of his house in Delaware. They do this every sort of second weekend to recharge the batteries. But all of this, of course, distracts from real news around Joe Biden, and even more evidence coming out that he well knew about the business activities of Hunter Biden, Tony Bobulinski, who was, of course, the whistleblower, great source of information on the Tucker Carlson interviews and in Miranda Devine's book about all of this, as well as a bunch of Republicans are now coming forward to say Joe Biden was well and truly aware of what was happening here. So watch this space when they eventually get control of the lower house and therefore can start to have a few investigations into these things. James Morrow's here with Holly Hughes. Now, before we go, I want to talk about yet again another example of our failing schools. Now, Holly, both sides of politics, state and federal, have told everyone for as long as we have ever paid attention that they are spending more money than ever before, or they are tweaking this or they are tweaking that. But guess what? Yet more evidence that our standards are going backwards, and particularly kids can't write anymore.
And look, it's getting worse. And I think it's getting worse because we have this sort of woke curriculum. I think I refer to it as being run by Marxists, which got me a video on Insiders. So,
dreams
I'll
do
see what
come
I can
true.
do. I'll see what I can do for you tonight here around this. But we've now got Julia Gillard is going to run a Royal Commission in South Australia about early childhood education and what we're doing. The reality about education, we know what works. There's been lots and lots of studies done about children, how they learn, what they learn and how they learn best. We know kids all learn differently. Some learn by listening, some learn by doing, some learn by visual explanation. Yet when we go into the classroom, they're all still learning in exactly the same way as every other kid. So maybe we actually need to start looking at how do we teach kids and not just bundling them all together by their alphabet or their surname, but actually looking at the kids that learn in different ways to see whether that would help. But let's start teaching them the basics again, not worrying about all this extra climate change, woke agenda. Oh, we can't teach them anymore about how Australia was settled by the British and James Cook because we need to, read Dark Emu now. So, I mean, it's just insanity that we're not teaching them the basics. They don't know where a comma goes.
Well, that's it. But also, I mean, James, today the Singaporean Prime Minister was doing a deal about green energy or something like that with Anthony Albanese. You know the deal we should be doing with Singapore? About learning about their education system.
Their curriculum is pretty good up there.
Their curriculum is pretty good, but also their culture is pretty good. I was in Singapore the other week, and in the airport was a big sign, about, and there was like a kid endorsing a cereal who had topped some huge nationwide exam. Like, their entire culture is entirely different. It's not just what we teach, Holly, but it's how we teach it, and we know it works. Classroom discipline. We are the worst in the OECD. We're among the worst in the OECD because the teachers can't control the classroom. We don't do the phonics stuff. We're only just starting to do that stuff again. We don't do memorization. We don't do classroom discipline. We don't do teacher-directed learning. All the stuff that's unfashionable because it doesn't fit in with the whole, Marxist, Paulo Freire pedagogy of the oppressed that influences so much of our teachers' colleges. But the one last thing about this is, too, both sides also, we have this attitude, well, we need skilled people. We'll just import them. Screw the kids. They don't need an education. Well, that is, I think, also part of this. We need a real attitude where we grow skills natively here in Australia.
James, you just used too many words the ABC doesn't understand. I don't think you're getting a video on Insiders after that one.
Oh.
God love you guys. Thank you very much. Do appreciate it.